I don't know if you guys remember this or not. This song, Little Maps. I'm playing around with some intro music, royalty free, from bensound.com. We're live today. It's a Monday morning in the Philippines. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Dan's Live. We're going it alone today to see how things work out. There's the Jollibee reaching out. Tim's in the house. Larice is here. Anime Reyes. Larice Resurrection. Mabel Torres is here. She's doing one hell of a job on Facebook. Tobias is in the house. Moelma. All of you checking in. Thank you all for being here. Let's get this thing underway. All right. So yesterday I kind of made the decision that after thinking about this forever, at least for a week or two, that I would be going it alone from here on out on the live stream. And apparently, to my shock, I was the reaction from people when I announced this, because I kind of let everybody in the know, I kind of let them know that I was going to go alone, and I was kind of amazed at how people became really, really upset about that, And I'd said before, I'm kind of like emotionally detached, and that means that I don't give a whole lot of thought as to the emotional part of the whole decision making process. Filipina Raquel is here. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. Yeah, I really don't think about it a whole lot. I give it about 10 seconds worth of thought. And I'd said in the very beginning, I tend to not get too emotionally involved in other people's drama. And so a lot of it sure started to happen when I let everybody know that I was going to go solo from now on. And I may actually develop this into a daily live stream. But the format is something that we're still working on. And I think I mentioned it before that I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go. But I know that in order to evolve, in order to get things going, so that the channel has an opportunity to expand and become bigger, that I was going to have to make some changes, So like I said, I don't mind sharing with you that I was really, really, really surprised by the reaction that grown adults were having, grown actual adults, that they were having in response to my decision that I didn't want to do, or I wanted to get away from panel type things. Thank you, Ben. So I wanted to get away from that because I'm not a very good moderator, and I felt myself losing control, especially over the important topics that I want to discuss. I pretty much have lost interest in everybody's stories of woe. I'm more interested in talking about the positive side of life. And so Tobias is saying, what's Tobias saying? Rona sees us here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Filipina Raquel. to buy it. Oh yeah, me too. Mac Daddy was very negative. I got tired of hearing about his. Oh yeah, yeah. No, but I wasn't really pointing. I really wasn't pointing. Pointing. I wasn't. I'm not really interested in pointing out specifics about who and what happened, stuff like that. But I definitely have been listening to what you guys have shared with me over the past few weeks, and so that was important to me. So, and also I asked a couple of you for your opinion on what you thought, and I appreciate that you were forthcoming and open and honest with me about what I should be doing in order to move forward. And so I'm not shy. I don't think it's necessary to be shy about any of this stuff. I'm pretty open, and uh, and so I just thought that I would mention that in the very beginning of this live stream. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing daily live streams. And Dan, adults are allowed in your live stream. Yes, exactly, adults only. And so Tim's reminding me, yeah, this is an adults only format. For which you're allowed to share your feelings in the chat. And I'll be interviewing people on occasion because I need to become very good at. I want to strengthen those interviewing skills. I think that mine are very weak. That I don't. Um, that I miss the point a lot of times in asking questions, and so. Uh, well, yeah, so I decided that I'll probably do that on occasion, but or have guests from time to time on the but it won't be a panel format. I could barely handle I could barely handle controlling myself, let alone trying to rein everybody in and get back to the subject at hand. So, like I said, people did take it very personally, and I don't know if that's more says more about who I am, or it speaks to who they are, in terms of their dissatisfaction. I just figured that what I've said in the past is even truer, more today than it is any day. And that is that, as Mike has pointed out, good guys on a panel, but it's the Dan show, right? And I could only listen to so much story of woe um, before I turn it off in my head, and then once I turn it off, I lose total and complete control of the live stream. And now I've been warned about this before from people a long time ago. You know, I would ask daily live streamers. I would say, "Hey, how come you don't have, a panel discussion?" And they have told me that they've tried it before, and it oftentimes it doesn't work out the way that they think it would, because they get interrupted when they're trying to convey their thoughts, and then people interrupt each other, and it just becomes too difficult to control. And so I think that one person, I think maybe if I had one, like one guest per show or something like that, they may work. But otherwise, I'm giving up on the idea, and so I'm not here to hurt anybody's feeling about that. Not everybody's going to be agreeing with me on this, but the folks involved, they can go start their own show, um, and they could go ahead and make their way through it, do whatever they want in the way that I'm doing everything that I want to do. And so in the beginning it was okay. I got messages back saying, yeah, it's all cool, and all of a sudden I started to get the true feelings actually started to come out. How should we say that? So, but I encourage you to go, and definitely, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be participating in their panels unless they ask me not to, unless it goes to a level where it's so personal for them that they say, "Hey, Dan, I don't want you coming to my show anymore." Which really wouldn't surprise me. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised by that. But I would laugh inside if it turned out that's the way it was going to be. You know, I'm kind of chuckling about it already. Come to think of it. Hmm. So anyway, I don't want to spend the whole time talking about this, but uh, Filipina Raquel says, well, it is your channel, Sir Dan. You do what you want to do, and no one will take that right that you have, for conducting your own business as you want. And she's right about that. I don't let anybody intimidate me, or bully me, nor do I allow anybody to stifle my opinion. You know, honesty is the best. Something I forgot. Yeah, me too. That was the other thing. Yeah, and so you get a whole bunch of people up here wanting to tell their story of woe, and then the whole thing becomes a downer. By the way, but I've been pretty honest with you about who I am, and that is that I, generally speaking, if I have a glass in front of me, and I have one full bottle of Too Big, and I have one uh, partially drunk bottle of Too Big, I will always point out that I'm missing some water. So if that, listen, I'm just telling you who I am. So if that tells you even more, if that defines me for you in your mind's eye, then I'm happy. If it tells you what kind of guy that I am by pointing out that I'll always point out that I'm missing something in here. Okay, so be it. But I'm not trying to hide anything from anybody. You know, the guy that I thought actually would be the best partner, in a two-person format, he died on me. He upped and died. He decided he was going to go his own way, and I kind of don't blame him. But oh, by the way, while we're on that subject of death, I'd like to say that if it turns out that Dan has committed suicide, it most likely uh, would be a truer fact that I was murdered by somebody, by some secret governmental run organization than it is that I would ever take my own life. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. So I realize a lot of people say that, but anyway, it didn't scare Larry Lee away, that's for sure. And by the way, Larry wasn't one of the ones that got to me, and said, "Hey, Dad, hey, you don't want me there anymore." I didn't even hear from Larry. I just gave him a heads up, saying that I was going to go solo today. But now I've decided that I'm going to go solo from now on. And so how everyone else wants to run their channel, I have tremendous amounts of respect for. But I've been hearing too much about, hey Dan, maybe you should think about going it alone. I keep hearing it from my most favorite fans. All right, so let's be done with that part of it, and let's go. Let's go and talk about uh, other stuff. What was next? Anime, yeah, anime. So I'm gonna share out anime. I want to share out what my idea is for keeping things alive and keeping people interested in coming here. And since the majority, by the way, my U.S. subscriptions are surprisingly starting to grow. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but the majority still is the Filipinas between or up to the age of 34. Are you in that category, by the way, Anime Reyes? I'm just wondering if you are. But this is all good news, and so in the last month or so, when I'm watching my stats, I noticed that it started to shift, and I started to get more folks from the West subscribing. And then I started seeing, as those numbers started to go up, then I started seeing that I was getting more of a 65, uh, you know, 25 or 30% split, of subscriptions, 65 representing the majority of people that watch, which are from the Philippines. And so I've been focusing, I talk about a lot of Western subjects, but I also have been focusing in on sharing useful tidbits to the Filipinos that are in the chat because that's important also, right? Tobias says live every day is a good idea to do a drawing every 75 pesos a day. I think you would get more subs and the bennies that go with it. The bennies that go with it. Yeah, and so I've been thinking a lot about that. So I have sent out some feelers. You know that we ran that big wheel contest. I don't know if Tobias, if you were a listener back then, but we had a big spin wheel and we gave away 5,000 pesos in one go. And so, but I have this idea that in order to remain consistent, and like you say, get people coming into the chat participating, that we may go to a format where we we do either random spins, every day, or we pick a couple of random days in order to do the spins, and that way people will never know unless they show up if this is the day that we're going to be doing the spin. In order to get people interested, I also decided that we'll probably up the ante a little bit. That will make it a little bit more interesting. It's been suggested a couple of times, perhaps even by you, to do it that way. Collaboration should be setting up the channel owner, not what others on the channel. Let's see, sir. We're still here to show love and support. Yeah, and I know. I realize you. I realize that most of the people wouldn't abandon me once I announced that this was gonna take place. Like I said, no, it's not my wishes that you leave because I'm going to change the format. It's not my idea. I really have a lot of respect for everybody who participates and hope that people will continue to participate in my live streams. But taking it personally, I don't even see really how that's possible because I'm so straightforward in presenting the everything that I do. I'm just very, very straightforward. But okay, so we'll be working that out. And so I did. I will share with you in the spirit of transparency that I did email out. I sent a private message over to the person that helped me the most with setting up that wheel of the big wheels, the big wheel 5,000 peso giveaway, just to see if that list still was hanging around. Now I do have a copy of the list. I later found out that Pacquiao Mertz had sent me a copy of that list in my it's in my inbox. I opened it. I think it took a look at it, and I didn't think that I would need it, but I did not delete it. I kept it, and what I'd like, I asked Pacquiao Mertz. I don't know if she's going to be willing to do it. I'm asking her actually here. I asked her first, did she have the original list on her Excel spreadsheet? And she said she does. She got back to me and said, yeah, I got it. But so what I'm going to try and convince her to do, and of course I'm a generous guy, so I'm going to compensate her for it if she decides to accept the challenge, is I'm going to have her go ahead, if she's willing, go in there and go ahead and give each participant a number, and that will be the starting off place for the next exciting giveaway adventure, which is going to be, like I said, a random selection, but a little bit more fair because everybody that has participated in that big wheel spin where Nicole won will they'll get assigned a number and it will go into the hat. This one. Now I was just thinking that another thing I could do so you know what your number is, instead of reaching out to you each individually, there's got to be a way to post it somewhere, either in the YouTube channel itself, in the community forum, where people, all they have to do, or even in my description, where all they'd have to do is go and look in there and they'll be able to see what number they are. And of course, the rest of it would be what days Dan is the amount of money Dan will be giving away, what day will it occur, and the fact that you have to be present to win. So you see, all those things will come into play. And so that is the whole thought process. Some of it you guys shared with me how it should be conducted. And so you can see that they're threads of um, items in there that you wanted that I think will become a little bit more fair. So today, of course, I'm still giving away 100 pesos, but I won't be announcing the winner. It'll show up in your Gmail. You know, it's gonna, or not your Gmail, your Gcash. It's gonna show up in there. By the way, I don't know if many of you know, but Gcash is expanding exponentially. You know, they're going all over the Asian continent with their program. Some of you have already seen those commercials. Mabel Torres is in the house. Mabel, welcome, welcome. Mabel, you're doing an incredible job on Facebook. It's amazing. It just shows me what an intelligent person you are. Quite frankly, what a brilliant individual you are. So, suicide by YouTube. What's suicide by YouTube? Oh yeah, no. See, what I'm worried that some secret governmental agency is going to try and take me out as I broach certain subject. You know, as I talk about my dissatisfaction with certain things that are going on globally, not only here in the Philippines but around the world. You know, and I'd hate to get taken out or have an accident. You know, so yeah, I don't want to have an accident because I'm not sharing. I'm not sharing the accepted view or the diatribe that's trying to be forced. You know, the crap that they're trying to force down people's throat. I guess is what I'm saying. And these things are important to both the Philippines and, of course, to people living in the USA. Because, like I said, I got some pushback by saying this, but I believe it with all my with with my head and my heart that uh, the the entire world is looking towards the Philippines to save them. How are they going to save them? By through consumerism. You know, they're ripe for the picking. In other words, they're going to start feeding you a load of information. Did I say yeah, a load of information? Yeah, that sounds good. That'll try and convince you that these fast food places and Walmart and all these other things are the greatest thing in the world since since processed rice. I mean, quite frankly. So they'll be depending on you to go out to the bank and borrow money. So you can buy a big screen, 90, 8-inch big screen television set on credit from Home Credit. See, that's what's coming to the Philippines now. But uh, this is kind of a little bit of the stuff that I want to talk about. And of course, this is the kind of stuff that big business probably won't uh, like me sharing, right? That I'm not an advocate of you doing that. Most people in the Philippines, I think, won't swallow it. And the reason why they won't swallow it is because culturally, even though they're tied, it's very, very close to the United States. U.S. is part of their cultural heritage. There's stuff that's way different about the Philippines that I'd say does not exist in the USA any longer because of different types of changes in demographics and trends. And that basic is their ability to bob and weave when it becomes necessary. So in the States these days, people tend to give up, but I haven't seen that in the Philippines, not even close. In the Philippines, when push comes to shove and things get a little bit challenging, Filipinos will always, most of the time, they'll rise up to the challenge and they'll overcome those challenges that are put in front of them, those roadblocks. A lot of times, um, way quicker they'll overcome them than anyone in the States that will just say, "Hey, I give up. I'm just going to go on welfare and collect food stamps and disability just like everybody else." Since those things don't, some of those social programs don't exist in the Philippines, then that may be a reason why they find the way around the cement wall, why they find the way around the barrier. But they always rise to the occasion, as in when they get like what happened here with the landslide here in Baybay Leyte and Bulga, where all these homes were wiped out, sitting on the side of the hill, and they came together and they just started to rebuild. Not that week after the event occurred, the very hour the event occurred, that their house slid off the hill, they were out there collecting up whatever material was salvageable to help themselves and their neighbors rebuild. And that's sort of uh, the type of thing that I'm talking about. And so the majority of my clientele, I doubt that they spend, even though I joke about it a lot, I doubt that you spend very much time in the Dunkin' Donuts, Mengay. I doubt that you spend very much time in the uh, Mang Inasal, because the money, the funds to do that just simply aren't there. And so you view life. You're a dreamer, like most people are around the world. You dream about having a nice life and living like folks do in the West, and that may very very well come to fruition. But you don't dwell on it. You just go to work, figuring out what you need to do in order to feed your family for that day. Where in the States we have way too many options. In other words, we don't allow anyone to starve in the United States. We feed them, and people knowing this may be a reason why there's a difference in culture. But we feed them too here in the Philippines. I mean, let's face it. You can always go to a neighbor, and if the neighbor has to share, they will share with you. You go to your relative's house, you go to your neighbor's house, you go to the barangay captain if need be, and the help is always there in some form or another. You go to the church, and you ask the church for letting people know out there that you need a little bit of help. You go to YouTube, you go to PayPal, you go to someone's live stream, you say, hey, you go to Facebook, you have options. That's the beautiful part about those uh, those platforms. Those social media platforms are important. Even though I'm not a Facebook fan, everybody knows this, because they tend to copy everything, and so Facebook will evolve into, in fact, all the social platforms, they're taking sort of the same path. And that is that they want to be everything to everyone. They want to have a complete circle form. They want to be the social media platform, your platform for entertainment, your platform for finance, your platform for borrowing money, your platform for employment. They want to be everything to everybody, and they most likely will become everything to everybody. Who will survive? I don't know. Maybe they all will. Maybe only a couple of them will. Maybe there'll be a consolidation in the social media platform business also. So, I mean, they'll keep going until the money runs out. I mean, you know that Amazon is doing the same thing. Oh, yeah, let's start a pharmacy. Let's provide financial services. Let's provide, they're doing the same thing. Let's expand our social media platform. By the way, does Amazon have a social media platform? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised. And Yahoo's doing it too. So, uh, there's so many places to go. I was thinking about starting my own social media platform called Shackled. A little shackled to my social media platform. So anyway, all right. So now, uh, let's talk. Let's see. I'm falling behind in the chat as usual, but I do have an agenda. Let me figure out what it is. I've got to go open up my phone and see what I have planned. Uh, Good morning, Mini Snow. And Osan, Rakatera. 16 likes, Sir Dan. Thank you. 16 likes. And 13 million people in the chat today. And I'm grateful for every single one of you. Annie MC is here. Thank you so much for coming. Larice is here in a multitude of different forms. Oh, Tobias, Mabel, and I'm sure a whole bunch more people that I have yet to acknowledge. I really, really appreciate you being here. Dan, I did a video about GCAS expansion. And so I should expand my horizons and get over to your channel and watch that video on GCash expansion. And so that's perfect. So, and we have I saw Melanie sharing that. Melanie Calapayan. There you go. And welcome from Sir Larry Lee. Yeah, accept the dominant paradigm. And I suppose that for the majority of my life, I was exactly that person. Hey, Joe from Vallejo. Hey, that rhymes. Hey, Joe from Vallejo. I think I'm going to write a song. I think I'll write a rap music song that has that beat. Yeah, absolutely. Deservedly so. So if I had time, I would probably get in contact with Bill and say, "Hey, how are you doing that?" But I don't have time. So anyway, besides that, I'm retired, right? Retired and inspired to do more of these shows. And so it isn't. By the way, it isn't about money. Everybody knows that. It's only if it is about money, it's only about the money that I can share with you. It's not about me using the platforms in order to get cash. Why would I do that? I mean, which is weird, because a regular guy said something about that on one of his. I think he said it in one of his live streams. He said, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" He said something like, "If I didn't have to do YouTube in order to make a living, I wouldn't be doing it." That's what he said. So you get the sense that that's his focus, and mine is just providing a platform for the sharing of information and to uh, the main objective, better the lives of the people inside the chat. How do we do that? Easily. People will see who's in here, and you'll express, a point of view. People will get the message that they'll be reminded that you're here, and then they'll visit your channel and your live stream, and then they'll start sending you money. So the main objective for Filipinas, I realize how shallow this is, what I'm about to say, but it should be to extract funds from the people that have it. That's what it should be. Not in a dishonest way, in the most honest way that you possibly can, which is directly ask for the money. Now, a lot of you have learned that in order to get my attention, you just send me an email message, and the email would say, "Dan, can you help me with this situation or this problem?" And then I'll either say I can or I can't. I'm not talking about dialysis. I definitely can't. If you have to depend on me for paying for dialysis, it was nice knowing you, quite frankly, because dialysis is you can't just pay for one dialysis session, right? You have to put all your money behind it, in order for dialysis to be successful. If they say you need dialysis twice a week, then you should go and get dialysis twice a week. But Dan can't help you pay for it. And most likely he can't help you pay for your chemotherapy treatments either. So I think most of you know that. Tim Dziak is saying the Philippines will save the world with the export of trained medical professionals. Yeah, and of course, there's a lot about that in the news right now about countries doing away with their visa ceilings for healthcare workers, so they could take care of all of us old guys that are becoming in the United States, since that's the country I'm from. 80 million, no, 72 million that are still with us are going to need they're going to need home assistance, and that could come in the form of home nursing aid, a home nurse, someone that travels around, does home visits, that sort of thing. Anna MC says, "Hello, Lazy Larry Lee. Thank you for being here, both of you, Annie MC and Larry. I appreciate you guys being here for sure." And so that's why everybody's kind of like in a panic, and they're starting to import as much labor as they possibly can, especially if it's healthcare related labor. But the rest of y'all stay home because the factories are coming. As you know, a lot of that diagnostic equipment that are used in the medical profession are manufactured here in the Philippines. We're talking about heart monitors and respirators and all that equipment uh, that requires those special chips that we get from China and Taiwan. They all they all are manufactured here, and of course, the real reason why China wants in on the Philippines is exactly for the same reason. They're looking at the labor for, and this is a good thing, especially when you have more than one country competing for labor. That's just my own personal opinion. It could be China, it could be somebody else, but all of a sudden they went, whoa, we need to get in there. We need to attract young people to our manufacturing facilities because we're running out of labor. How is this good for the US? It's great for the US because it means that folks that are they're not going to be forced to retire. This is a good thing for us old guys that are, post-war baby boomers and older. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of industries that they can't even attract young people to want to participate in them, and so they're worried about brain drain. They're worried about not having people available that can do certain types of work, as the post-war baby boomers retire and then die off. That represents almost one third of the population, a little bit less, maybe 25, 27% in the US of A. Here, there are kids in diapers running around everywhere, and they want them. We want you. And so they've eliminated visa quotas. And so if you're an RN, you passed the nursing exam, either in the state of California or in New York, you can go to work wherever the hell you want in the United States. If you took that RN exam, you passed it, and you're an RN here in the Philippines, go apply for your visa and get the hell out of here. Go over to, but not before you take care of me. You just wait, hold on, so make sure that Dan is taken care of, and then head over to the USA and move in with a whole bunch of other Filipinos, uh, and make some money, you know, scale everything so that you have plenty of money to send back to the Philippines. That's what a lot of people are doing. Yeah. So, it does give me a thought. And I'd said in previous live streams, said, something, what could happen? It could happen that they restrict, how long an American can leave the country and still collect Social Security like some other countries do, or offer themselves, they may help themselves to a discount. Well, you know something? The Philippines might be exempt. It might be exempt because of the very, very close relationship that the United States has with the Philippines is like none other. And so it may come into play. It may come into play that that they don't put those types of restrictions on the Philippines. See, now that there is a critical view at things, I think. And but I wanted to address this. Just to, we've been rolling now for 38 minutes, 39:01. All right, so now I wanted to address something though that's equally important. Um, if you go over to the Philippines, it if you go over to the United States because you have married an American, here's something that you have to be careful about. And I wanted to address this. I started thinking about this after reading some horror stories, some articles. Oh, how did you know what I was going to talk about, Mike? Living in the West ain't all it's cracked up to be. Yeah, and they don't discover it until they get there. And then once they get there, like Ma'am Minnie, she goes, she looks around. I'll never forget it for as long as I live. She looked around, she goes, first words out of her mouth were, you live here? You live here? Oh, crap. And so, yeah, you see, I mean, it isn't all that it's cracked up to be. And that's what I wanted to talk about. I don't know how Hey Joe knows that, but he knows me pretty good. I would say we got to know each other. I know a little bit about him. he knows a lot about me, and so we're kind of like can guess. We can second guess each other, but you have to be very, very careful because there is a chat that I ran into. I can't remember the name of it, where they were talking about, oh, and it was an American chat group, American men over the age of 50 for sure. And they started talking about what you need to do is go over to the Philippines and marry a woman there who is an RN so that you can bring her back to the United States so she could support you in retirement. So, okay, so uh, this came up because somebody had posed that question in the chat saying that, hey, I'm really screwed because, I got no retirement to look forward to and I want to retire. I don't want to have to work the rest of my life and I can't see myself pushing burgers or french fries at McDonald's. By the way, I could picture myself doing that. Just would like to point it out. I don't know why other people would have a problem with it. It's an honorable profession, right? So pushing burgers is a way of making a living. It's as honorable as any. But they were talking about, yeah. So the answer from several expats came back, oh, well, don't worry about it. Just start hooking up with one of these educated Filipinas and you start looking for a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse who's an RN, and other professionals that will support you that you could put to work once they come to the States and they will support you in your retirement. I'm not so sure. My first thought is this may not be the way to go because especially if you were thinking that this person actually loved you and they more were looking at the long game, which is what, oh, woohoo, if I and then if we end up getting divorced, well then they'll have to pay me alimony support, which probably there's a little bit of truth to that. And so you have to be very, very cautious and you have to look at the individual. You just can't go with any Westerner or any American dude that comes along who says, I love you. And then you start seeing unicorns and angels singing and all this other stuff, right? You got to vet that person out. That's your responsibility to vet them out, right? If somebody came to me and they're selling me love, I love you, honey, we're going to be together forever. And then you don't vet that person out. But when you do, you find out they're on disability, they have been on disability, they're struggling to make ends meet, and then you're the backup plan. You I'm not saying don't go with a guy. I'm just saying you have to work all that out in your mind. You have to think about it. Okay, does this person really love me? Or is he looking at me as being the ATM machine or their bank account? See, now it's hard for you to do that assessment because you've never been in that position where a person is not only looking at you as two things come into play, right? Are they looking at me, as a tasty piece of meat, or are they looking at me as the breadwinner of the family, because they know I have a willingness to support my family and they'll probably help themselves to a paycheck, every other paycheck. You have to figure out, what the downside of this relationship might be, whether it's plausible. You can't be blinded by love. Don't be blinded by the initial infatuation that some guy has with you. Because he might be playing you. Now, there's a lot of expats, there are a lot of foreigners. They're now living in the Philippines. They'll tell you the story about how they got ripped off and how this happened and that happened. Really, gee, so sad for you. Why weren't you paying more attention? Dun dun dun. You're always seeing these videos, flames in the background, right? If you look at my thumbnail, I put a little flame in the background because I was going to be talking about hot topics. Well, I can't think of a topic that's, you know, hotter than a young Filipina wanting to marry an old dude, because for, because she wants, because she's thinking that a foreigner is going to change their life forever. And yes, there's no question about it. Your life will be changed forever. It just may not be in the way that you thought it was going to happen. Let's see what Filipino Raquel has to say. Oh, I'm not really into Facebook, Sir Dan, but share my YouTube live on Facebook. Yeah, and that's the benefit of Facebook is that you want to share it out so people know that you're there. But otherwise, they're monetized. They're doing all kinds of things in order to chase, this whole meta thing. Where they want to get, they want to start stealing market share from these other platforms, or at least capture market share. They're pulling all the stops out in the beginning, but it's a very, very false bottom that these platforms have, even on YouTube. And so, if it were me, I would be concentrating on gaining the attention of all the Westerners that have money in their pocket who are not trying to take advantage of you, for any obvious reason anyway, and get them interested in supporting your channel. And that really is the reason, or one of the reasons why many of you are here. Is it not? Is it not? Would anybody like to dispute that? Would anybody like to give me the other argument? No, Dan, you're not idealistic enough. This is all about lovebirds. This is all about angels singing and harps playing, and oh, maybe not harps playing. Where did that come from? But this is all about, oh, you marry a Westerner, and you live happily ever after. So I figure, there is a lot of talk about, oh yeah, as soon as the Filipina moves over to the United States and she understands the score, then she'll go running off with some rich bazillionaire. And by the way, I have seen that happen. So I can't say it isn't true if I've seen that happen a couple of times. But fortunately, it has yet to happen to me. And now I feel like I'm in the safe zone because we're in the Philippines. We're not living, we're not spending the majority of our time in the States. And by the way, I don't look at the United States as being, you know, the most horrible place. How can a person actually say that when their income is coming from the States and I earned it there? And so I could not say that that the United States is not the land of opportunity. Well, that would be the most silly thing to say, wouldn't it? Of course it is. But you have to scale everything these days. It's not easy, as Hey Joe was pointing out. It ain't what you think. You don't just all of a sudden show up there and then everything is just beautiful. You get a I know plenty of guys who put their wives to work as soon as they got there, and then they went to them and they demanded their paycheck. They said, now you're here. Here's how it works in America. Half of the money you earn, or half of the household expenses, are now your responsibility. I got to tell you something. Um, that was not that was not our deal. That was not Minnie and I's deal. That was not my motivation and my prerequisite for marrying her. So some of you probably figured this out. I never even, when she started working, right, I said, okay, this is about you earning money and making these dreams come true that you have been sharing with me. And I cannot interfere with that process. And why is that? Because I myself is a dreamer, and nobody interfered with that process for me. In other words, I made my mind up what I was going to do, and I sought out, put the plan together like a heat-seeking bullet. And so, but it would be dishonest to say that Minnie wasn't part of that equation. You know? And why? Why did it happen that way? Simply because people kept talking to me, and say, sooner or later, Dan, even though you're not a very religious person, you have to accept the fact that in the scope of this grand universe, if you had a responsibility for taking care of just more than just yourself, but you have the responsibility for doing other things, that this great universe, God, if you will, would provide. And I started thinking about it, going, huh? Yes, for God will give you what you need in order to survive as a single man. I think there's no problem with that. But God will increase it exponentially if you start taking care of others. And so that, for some reason, it resonated with me, probably because truth resonates with me. And so, because that truth resonated with me, then I said, there probably is something to that. And I think that I will make that happen. It's not to say that if it didn't happen the way that it did, that I would have jettisoned Minnie off to parts unknown. Oh, that didn't work out. See you later, Minnie. Well, that would be cruel and unusual, wouldn't it? So, no, I never considered that. I manned up. I owned up to my responsibilities. And it was not easy. And anybody who tells you that is an easy process, they're flat out lying to you. You think that there isn't adjustment period that you need to go through, getting used to each other's, personality traits. And once you start living with them, it's a totally different ball game. I do not go for panties hanging on the line. I do not go for, you know, panties hanging on a makeshift line in my bathroom. Well, especially in the shower while I'm trying to take a shower, trying to figure out where I'm going to put all these wet panties. No, this does not work for me. Okay, some of you think that that might be a personality defect, that you enjoy seeing wet panties hanging on a line. That is not where Dan is coming from at all. So we don't go there. So to this day, Minnie knows this after me ranting and raving at her. We've been married now for almost damn near 20 years. There will not be any panties hanging on the line and trying out. All right, so there are cultural differences between Filipino men and American men, from what I understand. And I wouldn't have known what those were uh, had it not been for going to the Filipina Peace channel, where she taught me what the differences were by interviewing different people. So she has a knack for bringing it out of people, what the differences are between a Filipino man and a Westerner. Of course, I accept the fact that many Filipino women want to be with a Filipino man. Of course, of course. Why wouldn't you be? This is your country. There are more Filipino men walking around. You know, I'd say YouTube is kind of platform where we show each other freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Yes, as long as your freedom of speech and freedom of expression is also YouTube's idea of freedom of speech and freedom of expression. I was reminded by watching a video prior to coming live here about something that Philly in the Philippines said. Philly in the Philippines, who's from Angelo City, who says that every time he goes down the walking street and he does a video, he ends up getting you know a hold on it for review. And I know what that's all about, because they've held mine several times. Anytime I go to the walking street, I do a video, right? They started holding mine for review, and then they would release it because there's nothing there that's offensive or derogatory or anything. Once they see that, or Tim has done a few, they haven't held his. He figured out what they want, what they don't want to do. Is being held for geographical location was the primary reason. So how do you avoid that? Well, how you avoid it is don't go to that geographical location to film if you don't want them to hang up your video. Or the other way is keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing those similar types of video to the point where they know that you have not violated any YouTube policies. But filling the Philippines, when you're monetized, it's completely different. Because when you're monetized, you have to get that video out there where it hits the street, because you can't lose any views if they're not. Oh, it's pouring down rain. I hear it. You can't lose any views because you won't get paid for them while the thing is being reviewed by YouTube. So he made a couple of nasty comments that I kind of didn't like, but his point was well made. Why aren't they holding for review when you go to the um, to get a bikini wax video? Why isn't that being held for review? I mean, he's right about that. Why are they not holding for review when YouTubers go and they take videos on Boracay, and they're taking videotape of Filipinas in string bikinis? By the way, Filipinas, you're a conservative country. Don't go out there and show all the goods in Boracay. You're not really supposed to be doing that, because they do have the morals police there in Boracay. And they will, on occasion, when they're out in force, approach you and say, hey, you need to go put something else on. But no, guys are out there and they're having a field day because they want to take video of girls in string bikinis. And for some reason, YouTube is not putting a hold on those. So string bikini is allowed. Bikini wax is allowed, and even if you're doing full view of the lower extremities. But what's not allowed is a walking video on Walking Street in the daytime on a Sunday morning where you're going down the road showing them doing the cleanup. For some reason, that is not allowed. However, it's been a while I'll admit, it's been a while since they put a hold on anything that I've done in Angeles City on the Walking Street. Most likely it's because they know that I play by the rules, but most people do. Most people do. And if they don't, that video doesn't get monetized. Of course, I don't have to worry about stuff like that because I am not monetized. And, I don't know if I ever want to be. I don't ever know if I don't know if that's what the goal is for me. The goal for you, like I said, Filipina Raquel and others, it should be. I mean, Filipina Raquel has a very successful channel, and there's obvious reasons why. And by the way, she doesn't take any crap from anybody, which is a really good thing. But it's because the main objective should be, hey, they should be willing to support your channel if they like it in any way that they choose, through Gcash, through PayPal, through YouTube, Super Chats, through Facebook stars, or however they want to share it. I'm all for it, but what is the main objective? The main objective probably should be that especially if you're in need, they should be willing to save you, uh, uh, I meant to say, send you a few ducats and save you in some cases, on a particular day. They should be willing to pony up some money so that you won't go away. And if that means that you use the money in order to buy rice for your kids, then so be it. When I give, as most of you know, I never put conditions. I don't go say, oh yeah, here's so you can do this or go do that. Here's so I can sponsor this or go sponsor that. It's totally and completely up to you. I've said many times on this channel that once the money leaves my wallet, I don't think about ever again that money. I never think about it again. I never go and think about, oh, I just sent a little bit of cash over to, so and so, David Smith's channel, and David was he lied to me about what he was going to use it for. You're never going to hear me say anything like that. Because what do I know? I don't know. I don't know, nor would I dictate to you what to do with the money. I wouldn't say, use this for this or use this for that, unless it specifically was a deal for sponsorship, right? If it were sponsorship, then everybody knows what it's about. It's for trying to get people to come over and watch my videos and subscribe to my channel. And so those sponsorships that I have done, they've been very, very successful thus far. I have seldom been disappointed. It is money well spent, you know. But also, you know, pay Caesar uh, his dues. You know what I mean? Pay Caesar his dues. And so, as I will, I'll send super chats and I'll send support through YouTube so that they can make sure they get their cut, their commission, so that there's like a balance. You know, there's like a after all, they are providing you an opportunity to let people know that you're alive, that you're on this planet, you know, and what you're all about. They're giving you this platform, and so do they not deserve to be paid for the use of their platform? You know, and they can't control. They've realized they can't control. You know, if someone wanted to send you money through Western Union or some other avenue, they can't control that. They realize that. It would be very egocentric, very ethnocentric for them to try and control you in that way. You know, and the whole stars thing is a brilliant concept because you can only send stars. How else unless you have a YouTube channel, and then I'm gonna know how to get in contact with you to send through PayPal or Gcash or some other way. All right. So Des, are you going live this morning? All right, so uh, let's see, Tim. I'm going through this. You know how you hit I'm behind the chat anyway, and then I go in there and I see um, we're all defective in some way, struggling to find a. Yeah, that's right. Some kind of way we are. And so if you think you're Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect, then okay, party on. Enjoy whatever fantasy life that you're leading. You know. And Hey Joe has this important announcement. Dan forbids panties. Film at 11. The easiest thing is just get rid of them. Get rid of them. Throw them all away. Throw them out. You don't need them anymore. You don't need them anymore. Uh, so anyway, I could appreciate people that don't want to be talking heads. Larry has mentioned this 2 or 3 times, and so Larry does once a week live streams. I appreciate his approach. That's who Larry is. Larry likes to do videos and doesn't want to be sitting there all day. Coming to my channel, I'm sure Larry, you know, and being on the panel, you know, one of the obvious things is that he wants to be known and he would like for you to go and subscribe to his channel. And that's why he's there. So you don't forget about him. One thing I have learned is you disappear for a week or two off of YouTube or any other platform. People are so quick to forget about you that it is not even funny. It happens so fast. And then even if you're gone a couple of days, people will send you messages like, "Where you at? How come we haven't seen you? What's wrong? You know what?" And they'll start going and looking at you and looking for you in the way that they went to look for Mr. Lund, for Leonard Lund, only to find out that he decided that screw this, I'm going on my merry way. You know, may you rest in peace, Leonard Lund, because we learned a lot from you. We learned a lot from the type of person you were, your positivity and your mannerisms. You were always polite, and you were true to yourself. And being true to yourself, I think, is the most important thing. And I try to be, but I know I'm not. I'm an imperfect person. I'm just a human being. I'm human, and so human by its very definition means imperfect. And so there you go. I'm an imperfect person. So what? So what? You know, you're going to target me because I'm an imperfect person? Actually, it's fun to target people. Anyway, my feelings are rarely hurt when you have things to say. You think that I'm in control of your own life. I'm not. I'm just a man. I'm not a god. You know, some people have sent me emails. Oh, you hurt my feelings. Did this, you this. So what? I go, don't watch me anymore. Click the off button. You know, go to somebody who's going to lie to you, telling you what a perfect person you are. There are people that will do that out there. They're very popular. They'll tell you, "Oh, you're the most perfect person I've ever met." Go talk to them. I won't do it in public. You know, I won't down you in public. I won't give names saying that you're an idiot. That wouldn't be right. I'm gonna send it in Messenger saying you're an idiot. For example, I get these emails from women. Larry goes through this. I'm sure he's talked about it before, and this is how I know. Girly Sen is here. Does his channel, Chrissy Mama. Um, eh, I get messages right where they say, "Hello, how are you?" And then they send me these provocative photographs, and then I send them an email back really quick. It says, some of you know that I send these out because some of your friends that have sent these messages to me. And then I say, by the way, you should know straight up. I don't even say it anymore. I just say, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm married. I'm not gay and I'm not transgendered. Is that okay? Can we still be friends?" And oftentimes I never hear from them again. Which is fine by me. You're the one that friended me, on Facebook. I didn't go looking for you. It's nice to have friends. It's very nice to have friends. Good morning, Dan, the man, and not the mini from Ottawa, Canada, a very fine place to call home from what I understand. And hello to Larry. So you see, uh, I just say it straight up. And then once in a while I'll add, because I have this sense of humor. It's a dry sense of humor. It is not dry as dirt like Tim Desiak's sense of humor, but I will say, I will say something like, "Oh, you must have got my name from. You must have saw me on Facebook because I'm friends with Larry." And sometimes I'll actually say, "Oh yeah, 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 that's right. It's because you're friends with Larry. Larry, New York's most eligible bachelor." No, I'm not changing your tagline on your channel, Larry, to Larry Lee, America's most eligible bachelor. So anyway, I'm glad you're there in the background, Mabel. Get your work done. Get that Facebook channel rocking and rolling. So some people pay attention, like Mabel Torres, and they it's and they know what needs to be done because they're watching other channels. They know how to put together a successful channel almost overnight. And so I really respect that. I respect it and I admire it, but I just cannot bring myself to do it. I'm just sitting here talking to my friends, and that's what this is all about. But to keep me alive in your dreams, on your channel, and your Facebook page, I deeply appreciate that. And there will be rewards coming your way because you do it. And of course, if I said that all the time and then I never performed on that promise, you guys would have abandoned me a long time ago. You would have said, Dan's all talk and no action. But you know that isn't true. That isn't true about me. So, Dan, could please send me money by Western Union? I could send your girlfriend money, your wife, via Western Union, but you probably wouldn't appreciate that. Thank you so much for all your sponsoring me, Uncle Dan. I will make it. Oh, no, no, no. Don't apologize for anything to me. No, 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 no. I'm not saying things just to seek out. I don't say things to seek out. Uh, Listen, you're confident, you're strong, you know exactly what you're doing, you're intelligent. Do not lose sight of what your goal is. Do not. But also, one more thing. If there's money flowing into your bank account, I'm not speaking to you, by the way, Mabel, I'm speaking to everybody. Don't let it escape that bank account so easily. Hang on to some of that money. That is what this is all about. It's okay to hold all kind of contests, have big spins, the big wheel, the super duper money giveaway, and all this other stuff. But the main objective, and Mark knows this, the main objective is to retain some of it so you improve your life. I know that Mark and Crystal's never miss an opportunity at making a buck, no matter what it is. The recycling of the refrigerator was an example of that. The things you share, right? It's how he put together his car, to make it more convenient for his family. How he's a patient person. How both him and Crystals are very patient. Slapped together that car, and man, Minnie and I, we weren't even expecting to be chauffeured around when we were in Pangasinan. But I was very very impressed, impressed by your skill sets, impressed by the talent that you have. It blew me away. Absolutely was something that was a surprise. So, by the way, that's my deal with Mark. Don't go calling Mark up, asking Mark to chauffeur you around Pangasinan unless you expect to get paid for it, or you need to expect to pay him for the services. He ain't doing it for free. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. I wouldn't want him to do it for free. It's about, you know, making life nice for himself and his family, keeping food and rice on the table. It's about growing vegetables and not having to go to the supermarket in order to give your money to the bigs who won't appreciate you as much as I did. See, once you start going to the bigs and giving them your money, they'll just laugh at you. They'll just laugh at you, saying, "Oh, they'll smile in front of you. Thank you so much for sharing your money with me." Sure, sure, they'll say it in front, but behind, when you turn your back, they're like this. Yeah. So, yeah, Filipino Raquel, you're welcome. You're a very humble person. And Tim, if anyone wants to help me fix my internet and cable access, I will gladly take assistance for it. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then that reminds me to let everybody know I don't come here other than to talk to you. I've already said this. I don't come here for sponsorship, right? I don't come here for sponsorship. As a matter of fact, I explain to people that, hey, I'm getting, well, the getting's good, but I don't expect it to last forever. It doesn't last forever. Life does not last forever. The money won't last forever. But in the meanwhile, you could have a really good time. Well, you got some in your pocket. You could share it with folks, and let the chips fall where they may. And so people will probably say, "Dad, well, you're just waiting to be scammed, waiting to be scammed." I've been scammed many, many times. I don't look at it as being scammed. I don't look at it, that way. I kind of look at it this way. Uh, the universe knows what to do about all this. I'm too busy of a guy to even pay attention. I hardly can get the words out of my mouth. I'm sure I've been taken advantage of, not necessarily scammed. Scam is a very harsh characterization, and I apologize for using it. I've never been scammed per se. I never went out and built a house for somebody who promised that, that this, they would marry me when I get there. They would build a house and marry me. When this house was being built and I started this YouTube channel showing people the building of the house, I got all kinds of nasty grams. I got all kinds of nasty grams in my inbox. Oh, Dan, as soon as she takes you for all your money and the house is built, she's going to give you the heave ho. That was so funny. That was so funny. I'd be like, look, my eyes would be getting like this big. Look, what? What? And then I go to Minnie, are you leaving me and taking all my money? She says, Been there, done that. Wrote the book. Ah, oh, yeah. And then she'd say, "Hubby, I need to remind you that that's my money that's built that's in the house. That's my money that's building the house. You know, that isn't your money." Until the very end, and then I had to kick in. You know, because we were in the home stretch, and it scared me because the global calamity hit. And when the global calamity hit, no one knew exactly what was going to happen. So I wasn't taking any chances. I said, I realized that you could be building this little by little, sending the paychecks over there. But I think that it's time to punt. It's time to hit this. It's time to bat this ball out of the park and not wait to hang around to see what happens. And then I end up getting quite a few acknowledgments from people saying, "Man, I don't know what I would have done without you, Dan, because I was laid off from my job. No one knew, you know, how this was going to play out. Everybody got scared. They froze. They froze the building of their homes. They froze the building of their commercial buildings, their bakeries, and their things like that. And I had no place to go. I was laid off. I realized there was going to be suffering happening, suffering going on underneath my own roof. And then I said, "Hey, put a crew together of 14 or 15 people. Do it as quickly as possible." Thank God Jill was here to take care of business. Thank God. I'll be forever grateful. And even when, I was reminded by people, "Dan, your crew is twice as big as it should be." I said, "Don't care. Don't care. Hire more people. Put more people on." Yeah. Yes. First comes, that's right. So we go when it's start. We go when it's time to go. What can I say? You know, I'm not in control of my life. Never mind controlling others. Exactly the point. And quit trying to control people with your words. With your story of woe. It's manipulation. It's manipulation when you start telling. It's manipulation when you start. Uh, you know. Anyway, I'm not going to go share. Have I shared many of my stories of woe with you? And that's probably the reason why I haven't is because I don't have any to share. I can make stuff up. If you think it would be, if you think it would be a much more interesting channel, I could always go out there and I could make stuff up. But I said I was trying to be honest and transparent, and so I'm not going to go out and make stuff up. Let's see. I don't want someone to tell me how perfect. It makes me wonder what they want. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you don't want them to tell you. Well, it's true, Larry. And also, you don't want them to tell you how imperfect you are because you already know that. I mean, one of the first things you did was you did pretty much, it was very similar. In fact, you did a better job at explaining things to people than I did. You did a much better job of it. You laid it out there, and it was good. And you know why it's good is because one, when you become public in YouTube, you don't want people. If you're being dishonest with your folks on YouTube, they're going to detect it, and then they're going to go searching for answers. Right? They're going to say, uh, what's he really all about? So instead of them having to find out all the stuff about you, how many times you've been married, how many kids you abandoned, how much child support you owe, how many criminal offenses did you plead to, just forget all that and just lay it out in the very beginning. Of course, someone did do that recently. Yeah. And I don't watch their channel anymore. But that's the consequences of the revelation. I'd rather have people abandon me for telling the truth than hanging around underneath the umbrella of a lie. I mean, if you have a different viewpoint about it, go ahead and share that. But uh, the only thing that I've had to do is I've had to meander a little bit. And when meander means I kind of have I have had to. I'll be honest. I have to I've been in avoidance mode in a couple of issues, especially when folks that I really like start having a little bit of a disagreement. Folks I really like, I have tried to counsel because I'm a counselor at heart. I'm a philosopher, and I've said, when you think about it, it's a very, very small matter in a very, very large world. And I've been successful, but not all the time, in getting people to resolve their differences without actually hearing the whole story. I don't necessarily have to hear the whole story in order to know that a conflict exists. But one thing I you should know about me is that it's no good to be coming over to me saying that your feelings have been hurt, you know, without telling me the whole story. You just can't come over and say, "Hey, my feelings were hurt. This happened." That's fine. You don't have to give all the details, right? But to tell me that you have hurt feelings, you know, tell me you have hurt feelings, and and then you go on this diatribe of how nasty of a person this is and what a crappy channel they have. I don't accept that. You see, I don't accept that because that's very deceptive. And so I just ask you, be true to yourself. That's what we're talking about here. You have to be true to yourself first. Be honest with yourself because a lot of people lie to themselves. Nobody here in my channel, by the way, nobody here. The people that have had disagreements, they're nowhere to be found. You know, but or convincing you that you've changed. And my response to that, when people say to me, "Dan, you have changed so much uh, since you first started the channel," I've always been the same person. It's hard to change your ways when you're a 66-year-old man. I just would like to point that out. You're very, very much set in your ways once you reach a certain plateau, if you will, in life. And so I would caution anybody who comes to me saying, "You've changed," dun, 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 as opposed to looking a little bit inward and accepting that, no, 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 I haven't changed. You just simply have annoyed me to the point where I no longer want to have anything to do with you. And I can make that decision, can't I? Can't I? Can't I? Would you deny me that opportunity to be in charge of my own life, where I can decide whether I want to keep you around as a friend or not? And so, but I will never acknowledge anything like that because that's just plain silly. I will acknowledge that you didn't know me very well in the first place, but I haven't changed that much. There was an old joke that one of these motivational speakers, very successful one, used to say. It wasn't a joke. Yeah, I guess it sort of was, but he was pointing out that your personality doesn't change that much after you reach a certain age. And he also gave an, an example that I happen to know is true, that has to do about weight. And he was saying, he pointed out that your weight will vary, 4 or 5 pounds after you reach a certain age, but mostly, instead of losing it, it just kind of readjusts itself. It moves over here. You can move weight over here, but generally speaking, you can't actually lose the weight. And I'm kind of like finding out uh, that there's a certain amount of truth to that. I just wish that I could remember who that speaker's name was. Because he was a very, very impressive guy who has since passed away. But it wasn't Covey. It wasn't Covey. It was somebody else. You know, it wasn't Og Mandino. It was somebody else. So I could remember their names, but I just can't remember the motivational speakers' names. Okay, so now uh, I want to talk. I can hear the Philippine Air Force practicing in my area. Yeah. And Tim, since you brought it up, then I would like to let you know that I saw it in Cebu. So when we were in Cebu, they were doing takeoffs and landings. They were doing flying in formation. They were doing all kind of thing at Cebu Airport when Minnie and I were either arriving or taking off. We noticed it. That yeah, there definitely are changes going on. Um, Let's see, Dan, you're like a country western song. A little less talk and a lot more action. That really is how I am. That really is how I am. Show me. Just don't, just show me, do something. Do something. Don't come to me complaining about how miserable your life is. You can always change it. Somebody came to me one time. You guys probably are not going to appreciate Dan's sense of humor when I throw this one out there, right? And they said, Dan, I'm very suicidal. Okay, you know what I was thinking. You failed at that too, eh? You failed at that too. All right. Well, I didn't say whether it was a good thing or a bad thing that you failed at that too, but yeah, yeah, you know. Do you have poor people in Ottawa? Because we have hella poor people in Sacramento, California, because they're all lying in the streets on Roseville Road and different parts by the railroad tracks. And there's a guy that does really, really good videos of the homeless situation in Sacramento. I wish I could remember his name also. But he travels around to LA and Sacramento, all over California. He's been in Arizona, New Mexico, and he loves to go around showing, how the United States is becoming a third world country. But if you don't have a homeless program, if you don't have a homeless problem in Ottawa, I'm sure that I could figure out the reason why you don't see a whole bunch of homeless there. Obviously, it's because they give them free housing. No, it may not be because of that reason. Maybe have something to do with how cold it is there. And then, of course, they make their way to California, Sacramento, in the winter. they head west. Yeah, I said earlier, we don't let anybody starve if you come to Sacramento. We will feed you. We will give you a tent to live in. We'll give you clothing to wear. We'll give you sleeping bags. We'll give you all this stuff. So, Barry's here. I take it. Hi, Barry. Hi. So you're welcome, Uncle Dan. Will make a much better support and be very kind to people around us. But the money to give back as a depth of gratitude to a certain degree, Mabel. To a certain degree, I understand what is needed in order to keep the ship afloat. But in there, you got to be able to grab some of the fun for yourself. That's my only point there. My only point is not to be generous and give it away, to keep the machine going, because you're putting a smile on everybody's face. That's the most important thing. You're not giving back to people who have more than you're giving back to the people that are the have-nots. You see, and so I understand how all that works. And then you have to put yourself in the equation. Are you a person who is also in need? Then you've got to capture some of that in the form of commission. No one should have to give you permission, nor should you have to seek out a person's permission in order to do that. Crystal said, we find ways to survive, Dan, from zero to have a little because we have a big family. Yes, I understand that. It's needs-based. But here in the good old USA, in Sacramento, California, there are very, very few needs that occur that go unfulfilled. And so I like it that way. I'm not critiquing it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing that. I'm saying that that's the way it should be, probably all over the world. Yeah, and it most likely will become that way. If you think you lend money, never expect it to be returned to you. Yes, don't lend. Do not ever. I'm not a lender, right? I don't lend. Somebody recently said, "Hey, can I pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today?" I said, "No." I said, I'm gonna give you the hamburger today, and you're not obligated to return any favors to me in any form. Make sure they understand that. I'm not loaning anybody any money, any amount of money. I just don't do that. But if you come to me and you say, "Hey, I need a 100,000 pesos," and I only have 20 pesos in my pocket, I may say to you, I don't have 100,000, but I have 20 in my pocket, and I will send that to you. I'll get that off to you as soon as I possibly can. And I've been known certainly to do that. And I've always been that way. I always carried the 20 in my pocket in Sacramento, and people would come to me saying, "Dan, can I borrow 100?" I said, "No, but you can have 20. You can't borrow 100 from me, but you can have 20." And then they'll look at you, they'll pause. It's interesting, the reaction. I still have that same 20 in my pocket. Very, very few people have actually ever taken me up on that offer. They'll usually say, it's okay. The 20 isn't going to do me much good. Okay, well, do me a hell of a lot of good, because I'll go over to Dunkin' Donuts. I'll get a dozen donuts and a cup of coffee with that. uh, my bank asked if 40 pesos okay. Yes. So, let's see. A pastor in Gastonia, North Carolina, was letting homeless people pitch tents on his land. The cops came and said it wasn't zoned for that, just a church. So they fined him 60K for helping the homeless. Yeah, well, an attorney in Sacramento did it. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? He sued the city and he won. So there. So sometimes you have to put your money where your mouth is. And so now that lot, if that attorney provided for the homeless people, has been rezoned, for homeless encampment. And the city mayor has said to them how grateful that he is to the attorney for providing the space. So, yeah, it's out of sight, out of mind, is the way that America works. As long as I don't have to see it, I don't care if it, as long as it doesn't affect, my, uh, you know, my real estate, my value of my property, then I'm okay with it. But once you interfere with my profit, I'm coming after you. Once you start coming to me and you're saying, "Hey, because my property value got lowered because of the homeless encampment," you and I, we're going to talk. Yeah. Lavelle says, "I always want to save money when my stomach alarms. I will buy any food I want. And one thing, even I want to save, I always end up buying what we need in our house, like appliances and furniture." Well, are you building a home? I think I saw one time. I don't know where I saw it, that you were building. You're building a new home. 41K is enough. Yeah. Tobias, indeed. So bad you were fined for doing good. That is totally absurd. Yeah. How should I say this? A foreign concept, but it's going away because the federal government has passed legislation. They're making the cities comply, of course. They're saying no federal dollars for you if you do this. And one of them is rezoning homeless people out of their homes. And so, uh, yeah, I wonder if that would have happened in South Carolina. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Would they have happened in South Carolina? I kind of doubt it. Yeah, my Sao is my bank in the Philippines. She will call you. Yes, you have her call me. I've got that 20 pesos ready to go, Mike. What's important to me right now is I don't have Utang Yahoo. Praise the Lord. Utang. What is that? Utang. I need clarification on that, I think. Rah, 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 rah. Deal, Sir Mike. Ha, 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 ha. Dame, Moko, Jan, Ing, Oi. Okay, wow. Congrats. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, life can be challenging for sure. Life can be challenging. And these social media platforms, YouTube and the like, even though I I can't say enough how much I hate Facebook. Um, they're 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 playing a role. You know, they're playing a role that hopefully is, part of the thing is to help improve people's lives and not just make you another slave in Slave Landia, which is the land of slaves, which I felt like I was one. I still feel like I'm one, except it's a little bit more palatable because now, they said, Dan, we like you, but go home and we'll pay you to stay home. That's such a ridiculous concept. I hardly understand it. But will I give the money back? Hell no, I'm not giving the money back. No way. I want you to give me more of it. I'm very deserving of more of it. Yeah, because I am 66 years old and I deserve more money, more cash in my pocket. And I should not have to work for it. I should get universal income. Tobias says they fined him $60,000. She doesn't have cash, so they want to take his church now. This is so USA, people. A reason why I'm coming to the Philippines. Yes, and so initially, um, reasons like those, how ridiculous they were. Some of the regulations, that the government owns the rain that falls from the sky, and if we catch you trying to catch that rain, you will be fined. Those type of ridiculous things exist in America, you know, home of the free, land of the brave. Or is it the other way around? I don't remember exactly. Yes, it's ridiculous. It's overregulated. I'm glad I got home before pandemic. Otherwise, I'd probably be living in the street. As living in the Philippines is quite tough. Yes, exactly. Exactly. We were all very lucky. Yeah, we were all very, very lucky to make it through. Tim is saying, I don't know if I have feelings for anything. Good for you, Tim. Dang it. My kind of guy is the reason why we get along so well, you know, because I reach deep down. I reach so deep down inside Tim, like in a chorus line. You remember that? Do you remember the song from the chorus line? I feel nothing. I feel nothing. And she talks about how she reached so down deep into her soul and she pulled up nothing. By the way, I met Marvin Hamlish because, of course, you guys know the story about how uh, I used to live in Rocky Point, New York, which is out on Long Island, the Sound Beach. Sound Beach is where the Dunkin' Donuts was. It's no longer there. That I was the manager of on Route 25. And so, of course, you're going to get the people that are making their way out to Montauk to their summer homes. You're going to get them stopping in, because we're about the halfway mark, or maybe we're about the 3/4 mark, 3/4 of the way all the way to Montauk. And so Marvin Hamlish comes in one day, who uh, to buy a dozen donuts and also to talk to Katie Bianca, if you're out there, one of my employees, counter gals. I used to call her Katie, my most favorite Dunkin' Donuts Dolly. I doubt that I can get away with saying such a thing these days. And she introduced me to him. Yeah. I always lie to myself, tell myself that I'm younger and better looking. But you are a pretty good looking guy there, Larry. I don't know if anybody's told you that lately. And the age thing, you certainly look younger than your years on this planet. What do you have? 69 revolutions around the sun, which is a pretty good number. But you know, you look younger than that. In fact, I think I look older than you do, as a matter of fact. I think Man Minnie even said that. Dang, Larry is a young and handsome man. Of course, I pouted. I pouted for a little while over that. Oh boy. Anyway, it won't matter when you get to the Philippines because people don't see age. They don't see age. They just see the good person that you are inside. Yeah, they don't see age. No one thinks about age. Yeah. Larry, did you know Dan lies? He thinks his hat looks good. No, I don't lie. I don't lie to myself about the hat, especially. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be wearing the hat. Come over, sir, and enjoy life here in the Philippines. Exactly. Come over here. We'll square you away in the Philippines. We'll show you what good people are all about for now. For now, until they keep building these fast food places that that are going to destroy everybody. You know, they're going to make everybody so big and so fat that they won't be able to get out of bed in the morning to work. Then YouTube will be your best friend. James Robinson, hello, Dan. I'm watching from San Francisco. How long did it take for you to get used to eating foods in the Philippines like that? And the reason is because I am Mexican American, and so we be eating those foods already. You know, it has the Spanish influence. Filipino foods, you could always connect the dots and say, "Oh, I know where they get um, that from." The idea of making that, you know, I know where they get that from, and then I just dive in and start eating, and I never think about it. Yes, of course, there are things that I won't eat. People know what those things are. I've talked about them on this channel. Things like balut. Hell no. No, I'm not eating a duck egg. No. No, I'm not eating Chinese 1,000-year-old egg either. I've tried that a few times, and I will not eat that again. You know, the whole idea just does not sound very appetizing. Yeah. So I know you're being polite too. Some people are being polite when they ask to borrow money. They're just being polite. You know, they're just opening the door for discussion. And so, but you should not expect to receive money back. But better yet, don't loan money. Don't give it freely if you feel that if you have it. Emmeline is here. Emmeline, Lucio, Emmeline, Emmeline or Emmeline. Um, you know, but don't make it a loan. Just say, okay, have it. You know, if they come to you and they ask for some ridiculous amount of money expecting to get it, you just say, hey, I got this much I can give you. And only give it what you can afford to give. Don't give away your budget for the month of July, for example. Yeah. Okay, what happened? Why are you speaking in Tagalog now? All right, what happened? Did I lose control of you? What happened? Are you guys making fun of me? What happened? All right. As an Air Force veteran, I do enjoy watching them flying in formation. Yeah, they were doing formation stuff, and but I saw some big transport planes, on the tarmac. I don't know what that's about at all. They weren't American. They had the Philippine flag on them. So, and I don't think they were. They could have been American, uh, you know, C-30s or something like that, but they were huge, and they were flying the Philippine flag. So I was going, oh damn, oh damn. I was like, whoo, that's something. Yeah, we have. Oh, Mike says they have people living in tents in parks. Yeah, well, they don't let them in some parks, but I've seen them in parks. I used to order from a business called Scanner World in Albany, New York, a few decades ago. Albany, love that city. Don't know why. Just seems like a very exciting place to live. University of Albany, that's why I like it. All them young kids going to school, driving to school, and walking, busing, getting to school any way they can. University of Albany, New York, taking Central Avenue or Central. I don't think it's an avenue. It might be a road. Taking Central down to the front gate of the university. Tell me, tell me you think I didn't live there. Tell me. I love that walk. On a Sunday, my day off, I would walk from Colony all the way down to the university, and I would walk around that university campus. I would be going, damn, damn, I feel smart. Yeah, the pastor counseled them too, and that's what he should have been doing. Most homeless have addiction problems or mental health issues. Hard to get them in housing. That's right. We have the same problem in Sacramento. Exactly the same. It's like Ottawa, Sacramento, Sacramento's Ottawa. Same thing. You know, uh, they're the hardest to serve population of people, the ones that have addiction or mental health issues. It's difficult to convince them to take advantage of any program where housing would be involved. They just start talking about, you just want to control me. You just want me to owe you. You just want me to um, stop doing drugs. I've said many times on this channel that I'm not into all that stuff. I'm not into 12-step program and all this other crap. I'm just kind of like I'm in harm reduction mode most of the time. If you get, for example, if you're drinking 6 beers a day, and I convince you to cut it back down to 4, I would walk away with a smile on my face, saying my job is done here. And I was successful doing that. So you do what you're good at. I would say to them, hey, can you, instead of smoking a whole pack of cigarettes a day, you think you might, smoke half? You think you can get away with just smoking half? It would save you hella money. You don't have to go bumming them from your friends either. Hey, and they would say to me, I never thought of that. I go, well, your friends probably would appreciate you more, and they would enjoy your company a little bit more. I mean, it could happen if you just would stop bumming cigarettes and beers off of them, right? So I was very successful convincing people. Let's see. Dance with my neighbors are sitting. Oh, so I like watching Bakersfield live channels. So they have live streamers in Bakersfield. They have like 6 or 8 of them, right? And so I'll go in there and I'll put Bakersfield live in the search engine, and all these live. There probably is somebody on right now. No, you'll see a guy. He's following the cops around. He'll follow certain calls for service, and so was it him or ANX Live? I can't remember if I was watching Bakersfield or LA live stream yesterday, and I saw, a building on fire, right? The 99-cent store or something. So it's burning down to the ground. I mean, once a fire like that and all that paper starts burning up, you cannot. The fire is going to burn. It's going to burn hot. There's nothing you could do except form a perimeter and pour water on it until it's out. You're not going to save it. You can't save anything in there, right? So then I was thinking to myself, I wonder what person's going to be the first one in the chat saying that was the business owner burning his own business down to collect the insurance money. And sure enough, I barely had the thought, and the next thing you know, there was somebody getting on the live chat saying, hey, the business owner burned his own business down. But so happens that one of the people in the chat saying, no, I was just watching another channel where a live streamer was coming by, and he actually got a live stream of the fireworks, an illegal firework going up and boom, right on the roof of that building where the fire started. And so there you go. There's your theory. So now we got 2. We got a bottle rocket hitting the roof, starting it on fire. Or we've got somebody who says, oh, 4th of July, that's a celebration where would be a good opportunity to burn my business to the ground. But turns out a live streamer has the actual video that shows the bottle rocket hitting the roof and then the roof catching on fire, and the rest is history. So much for the business owner who probably did want to burn his business down. but didn't get the opportunity because somebody else did it for them. So 4th of July is a scary, scary time to be out in the US of A. I encourage you to crawl into your bed. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher close by. If you have a bulletproof vest, put it on, slide underneath there, and you'll be just fine. Let's see what we got here. That's good. It's raining like crazy outside. You can hear it. You can probably hear it. If you're a charity registered, it's okay. No, actually, you don't need to be. You can get, the day that somebody says, that you can't give money, that's your money of your own free will. That would be very, very disappointing. Very disappointing. That's nice, and I agree. You're not really a registered charity. You're just giving away money randomly. There's no program. In other words, you're giving it away to individuals. Kind of like anybody can come walking up to me on the street and say, hey, can you kick me down to 20? You give them 20, and do I have to think about registering as a nonprofit charitable organization in the Philippines? The whole thing just cracks me up, thinking about it. Binasan. I'm not sure about helping homeless. They can ask for spare change. They can say, welcome to McDonald's, can I take your order? Well, yes and no. Yes and no. One of my favorite things to do, Ben. The point's well made. Actually, I'm not saying that I don't believe it's true, because I've seen miracles happen that way. People that you wouldn't think would ever be able to work. I've been able to get them jobs doing something somewhere. I'll give you an example, right? So I used to run an employment class, and then it would be for convicted felons and homeless people. And so, guy is asking me a question saying, hey, I'm convicted of a felony, and what are my chances of getting a job? I said, they're pretty good right now. And he says, well, why? Even though I'm a convicted felon, no one cares about that anymore, as long as you declare that you're a convicted felon. He goes, why? He says, because the labor force is so tight right now. It's so tight, and people are just desperate. I don't mean to insult you, I said, but they're desperate for labor, and they'll put anybody to work. And then he tells me the story, which gives me a clue about how I could help this guy. He starts telling me about how many jobs he's had in his life, how he has never been able to maintain one, and then he's even more revealing. If I were a great interviewer, I would have been able to get down to the, you know, what the trouble of the matter was very, very quickly. But I let him go ahead and tell me the story. And so, as he's telling me the story, he's telling me about how he's always late to work and blah 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 blah, right? And then how he gets mad at his employer after 4 or 5 months of working for the same guy because he's usually having to take direction from a snot-nosed kid and blah 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 blah. Some kid, that I could just smack him around and send him across the room. Get so irritated at some kid saying, "Hey, you didn't clean out the French fryer, like I asked you to do." Blah 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 blah. You better go do it, or I'm going to exert my authority upon you by firing you, by docking you an hour's pay, by doing this, by doing that. And then you're standing there, you're looking at him, and he was telling me he'd usually blow up after an incident like this because he just can't accept that a little kid like this, who doesn't have any experience in life whatsoever, is telling him what to do and what he's going to do in the event that he doesn't take his direction. So the other reason why he would get fired, right? Always be late to work. And so once I delve into those two things, I came up with the answer for him. I do have the answer for you. And he goes, you do? No one's ever been able to get me to where I was enthusiastic about going back to work. But if you think you have the answer, then I'm all ears, So after class, he comes to me and I'm saying, here's what I'd like for you to do. He goes, this is what I think would help you. First of all, never take a full-time job. Yeah. You would take a series of part-time jobs if you needed to meet your monthly obligations, but you haven't been working in such a long time. Don't even worry about it. Just take the part-time job and get used to going back to work, again. So the French fry story and all that, I really appreciated it. That's probably where you need to start. You start working the French fry station at McDonald's, and uh, immediately when you go in there, you just say to them, you're only interested in working, you know, the afternoon lunch rush. And so long as you can work this French fry station for the afternoon lunch rush and you don't have to interact with anybody, then you'll be fine. And the guy goes, "What? But how am I gonna make a living on 4 hours a day, 5 days a week?" Well, let me ask you a question. How are you making a living now? And that's what you're gonna do to be able to make a living. He scratches his head and he goes, "I never thought of that. However you're surviving now, you're gonna continue doing that thing that you're doing. But then you're gonna go over and you're gonna grab 4 hours a week at McDonald's." And so he asked me, "Well, what's my logic behind that?" My logic is that 4 hours, you most likely are not going to become irritated with the person telling you what to do, because you say eventually, you reach a point after a series of months at which you just completely blow up. And so now I'm trying to mitigate that for you by saying that, okay, now you'll be able to work twice as long because you're only working half as long. So you may never blow up again at another boss, no matter how old they are, or whether they're male, female, or however they identify. Even if you don't like working for them, the reason why is because you will be thinking that, oh, I only have to spend another 15 minutes with this idiot, and then I can leave. And it's okay to think like that as long as you know what you're doing there. You don't have to say anything to them. Just keep looking at your watch, thinking, and you have the last laugh because you're looking there saying, "Hey, I'm only working 4 hours a day for you. You asshole, you're here for 8. Who's the smarter person, me or you?" Right? It's got to be you, because you already went there. You already know you can't put up with this geekasoid for 8 hours a day, but you can do 4. And then the money starts flowing. You get used to working again. And then the other reason, and then he says, "Well, why the afternoon shift? Why not the morning? Didn't you say that you were always late to your job? When did most of those hours, when did they start for you?" "Well, I was working a traditional 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 job." I said, "Well, I'm not even telling you to change your vices at night. Whatever was keeping you from being there at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, I would imagine that you drank. I would imagine you smoked dope. I'd imagine you're doing all kind of vices. I'm not even telling you to quit those, right? I'm telling you, structure your life around those things that you do, whatever it is. Spend time with a girlfriend, spend time with your family. I don't care. It doesn't matter what it is, good, bad, or indifferent. You have to structure your life about, how it works for you." So he goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah." And so no more going to work at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. That's for the birds in your case. No more 8 hour shifts working for one snot nosed kid who's going to be on you for 8 hours a day telling you what to do. The guy goes, "You know something?" He says, "No one has ever approached it from that angle. They've always told me, you gotta get out. You gotta be a man. Who are you? Aren't you a man? A man makes a living for his family." And then they would force me to go and take these 8 hour per day jobs, whether I wanted to or not. And then it would last for 4 or 5 months. I'd have the fallout with the dude. And the next thing I know, I'd be out in the street, back in the program again, trying to find my way in the world. So, happy birthday. I just saw this. Happy birthday. Congratulations. Believe me, 70 is an age that should be celebrated. Yes, indeed. Yeah, we'll celebrate it. We'll celebrate it here, right here on your channel, right here on my channel. So the whole thing is that you have to think. You have to think about uh, how you're going to help this person, how you're really going to help them, and not project. I was projecting myself, Mana. It's obvious what you should be doing, right? And so the guy's like, "Well, it's obvious to these other guys. Those guys were projecting their life upon you. They weren't looking at you, trying to understand you. You know what it's all about for you. So, long story short, I've gone on quite a bit with this story. Does it have a happy ending? Of course it does. Of course it does. He ends up back in jail for committing a crime. But until that happened, in which case I've done my job. I no longer have to worry about this guy. He's off my caseload. But while he was on my caseload, this dude worked. He worked a 4-hour job, right? And then he worked the afternoon shift. And guess what? When I checked in with the manager, he was never late. He was always on time. As a matter of fact, sometimes he was even an hour early for his shift. And he got along well with everybody, including the snot-nosed kid that was always telling him what to do. Of course, then he robbed the 7-Eleven. He ended up getting caught. He ended up going back to prison. And this time it was a very, very serious offense. In California, it required a lot of time. He was going to be way older than I would ever be on retirement day by the time he got out. Green, check. I got credit for helping that dude out. Maybe not in the way that most of you would have expected, but Mildred's here. Hi, Mildred. Welcome, welcome. But I helped the guy out. I came up with a solution for his problem, right? So I had a very, very high success rate getting convicted felons and homeless people employed because of that, right? And some of it I'm not proud of, because I would come up with interesting, interesting schematics, to show the boss how I would make things work. Dan, can you train so and so how to become a better employment services counselor? No. Why not? Because I have a very unorthodox approach, and they have a very traditional approach, and so they're happy being who they are, and I'm happy being who I am, and so we'll just keep on pumping along until my day with the department is over. So anyway, but I tell the story, and a lot of people say, "Oh, that's not right. You're just trying to show him how to beat the system. You're just showing him how to beat the system." I go, well, before he wasn't working, now he is. So I don't know. So it can be done if you're patient and you have the willingness to understand where they're coming from. You can listen to their side of the story, and maybe get a sense of who they are. They'll tell you if you give them the opportunity to explain. All right, we're 2 hours into this live stream. And in my mind's eye, I do have a winner for the 100 pesos. But since I don't have my program together, I will not announce it here. It's just going to show up in your Gcash account. And if you want to, you could brag about it to your friends. And that's how they know that Dan isn't blowing smoke. That he's not blowing smoke up your hiney. They actually delivered on his promise to send 100 pesos to your Gcash account. So, Larry, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. And so will you do the honors as usual and take us out of this live stream? And be looking for my next video. My next video is a walking around video from Cebu. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and comment if you will, if you feel so inspired. I hear Man Mini in the other room. You're not going?
It's raining. We're just waiting until it stops the rain.
Oh, you guys have to go to the lawyer's office, right, this morning? Okay.
Say hi, Sir Larry.
Oh yeah, Larry's here.
Hi,
here he
Sir
is.
Larry. Good morning.
Yeah, no one's in the chat today. They're all here.
Everybody.
And so we can't hear him, but she says hello. Larry, what happened? Did you already do it and I didn't see it? Anyway, be kind to each other. I should have memorized what Larry says, right? Are you guys hearing that annoying click? Be kind to each other. Try to have fun. Don't be mean to anybody. Don't loan to strangers. Don't loan your money to strangers. But do give if you've got the extra 20 pesos in your pocket, and you will not suffer by doing so. I know. Tim follows this rule. I know he does. Tim is a very, very, very giving person. You have no idea. He's very modest. I don't mean to embarrass him, but he is he's very modest. He helps out a lot. Remember, everyone, to be nice to each other. Take care of yourself. Stay safe, healthy. Plus, always try to have fun. Words to live by. Larry Lee, and we shall see everybody on Wednesday if I don't see you sooner. Thanks everybody for giving your time, and we'll see everyone later.